Okay, so it's still Sunday morning, it being 11:45 a.m., and I have had a couple things to drink. I had started out with some Evan Williams, Kentucky Straight Bourbon, 40% alcohol by volume. I tried the Jim Beam Apple, which tastes like apple juice with cough syrup mixed into it, or mead. It's a little bit like mead. It's kind of like, it's sweet. It's not my favorite thing. But of course, I like to try the whole spectrum of whiskey so that I have an idea where things lie. Or, it's good to broaden your experience. And instead of just drinking what's considered the good stuff all the time, it's a good idea to venture out into uncharted territory and try things that are, well, a little off your go-to path. This one here is Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon. It's bottled at 40%, and it's this entry-level Jim Beam. Like, there are many other whiskeys from Jim Beam, namely things like Old Grandad, things like Baker's, not Blanton's, Booker's, Knob Creek, and Basil Hayden's. They're all from the bourbon whiskey family. But this is kind of the entry-level Jim Beam screw top. Naturally, I didn't even look for the pull tab. This was $22 a bottle, so in Canadian prices. And it was even came with the bonus Jim Beam Apple. So plus taxes was maybe $25, something like that, at the most. So here we have the Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey from Frankfort, Kentucky, I believe. Yeah, I think that's where it's from. It's Jim Beam after all. It's high volume. It's like crank out a lot of this stuff and sell it worldwide. Hmm. Hmm. I get that bourbon. I smell some fruit in there. It's like cherries. I'm getting some kind of a brown sugar note, maybe. Caramel. That cherry caramel kind of bourbon nose. It's quite nice. Maybe I completely went the wrong way on Jim Beam based on this nose. When I first tried Jim Beam, I didn't like it. I don't believe there's much rye in the mash bill. It's mostly like a corn whiskey. And I think I read on there that it's, made with the finest corn, but it doesn't say anything about rye or wheat or barley. Maybe there's a bit of barley in the mash bill. Yeah, almost everything else in the nose has subsided, and I'm getting mostly a bit of corn sweetness and caramel. Just that hint of cherry. Some vanilla as well. Let's taste it. It's light, but it has a little bit of a rough edge to it. That rough edge is kind of like, it's like there's a little bit of battery acid fizzing away on the tip of my tongue and on the sides of it. Not unpleasant. I'm going to cleanse the palate. This is a good place to start. A good wet your whistle for stronger things. It's not complex at all. It's straightforward. Here I am, corn whiskey, vanilla, caramel. That's it, that's all. Yeah, there's still that tangy battery acid kind of tingling on the tip and on the sides of my tongue. And I am tasting caramel. And I'm tasting vanilla at the end. And all throughout there is that hint of cherry. But it's weak. It could use more ABV. It's bottled at 40% and it tastes watered down. This is a place to start when you're going to have a few bourbons. And this just gives you a little taste for bourbon, but it does not overpower. The Evan Williams that I had earlier has more flavor than this, even though it also is bottled at 40%. This tastes like watered down. If it was at 45 or 46% alcohol by volume, it would be just right in my books. But this is a high volume product. It's like, okay, just crank it out. Just pump gallons and gallons of it out. Put it in bottles and throw it out the door. This is the stuff to serve your guests who are not accustomed to whiskey, who don't know the difference. It's a good starter. If you want to start learning about bourbon and you haven't had a bottle of whiskey ever in your life and you want to try it, this is maybe a place to try to give yourself an initial taste of what bourbon is. And also, if it's your first bourbon of the evening, yes, I can see how this would wet your whistle a little bit, but to me it tastes kind of watery and bland. It's one-dimensional. There's that battery acid tingling feeling on the tongue, There's a little bit of cherry, but not much. There's caramel, yes, but it's watered down tasting. And at the very end, there's vanilla. They have added a lot of water to this from the cask. Yeah, and it's probably colored and dyed. It looks kind of orange. Oh, wait a minute. They're not allowed to dye. For it to be a Kentucky straight bourbon, they're not allowed to dye it or color it. They do have strict standards about that, but they are allowed to add water to bring down the ABV. And if you ask my opinion, they added a little bit too much. Anyways, cheers to you, and have yourself a good one.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Yeah.